Okay, I think I'll go ahead and get started here with just a brief introduction, and I'll pass it on to Mark after here once he's ready and available for that. First off, I just want to say welcome to everyone here today, and welcome to the Auburn Court Duesenberg Automobile Museum. I always like to ask, is this anyone's first time here visiting today? Very good. Yeah, most of you guys. Well, very good. Thank you for coming. As I mentioned too on our tour, to get into the Duesenberg room here today, you first walk through the original company showroom. The building was built in 1929 and completed in 1930. This was the administration and engineering building for the Automobile Company. The blueprints for this building and its use are displayed on the walls here in this room. So definitely be sure to check those out while you're in here too. And before you leave today, just kind of see what it took to build this building here. The company's showroom was used to showcase the latest Auburn Cord and Duesenberg automobiles, as well as products of the Cord Corporation, which was EO Cord's holding company, engines on display stands, and more. Hopefully after this, if you weren't able to already, you can venture up onto the third floor, which was space for engineering, full-scale wood bucks, clay modeling studios, design studios, advertising offices, and the administration offices were up there. At the museum here, we celebrate the history of the early automobiles, the grand trinity of the classic era of automobiles from 1915 through 1948. That's what Auburn Cord and Duesenberg are sometimes referred to, as well as Indiana automobile history and local history. We celebrate the science, technology, engineering, and art that surrounds the design of these automobiles and how they helped transform and shape transportation today. I'm glad that we were able to see everyone here today as we are, since we had first started this idea back in 2019 with the four-wheel hydraulic brakes. And so we are very glad to finally be able to see everyone here today and to get this landmarking ceremony started. And to celebrate not only the Duesenberg automobile, but also Fred Duesenberg, who was the person who patented the four-wheel hydraulic brakes that were used first on the Duesenberg automobile as the first production car to utilize the four-wheel hydraulic brakes. And also to be able to celebrate the mechanical engineering that went into the entire braking system. Once he's ready, I will pass it on to Mark Oler and we'll get the ceremony started. Thank you. Kind of get a little close to it.
Okay. Just a few comments, mostly it's going to be thank you. First of all, thanks for coming out to celebrate one of Fred Duesenberg's contributions to engineering. It was a very cool tour, but of course that's why we're here. I'm Mark Oler. I'm a section leader for the Central Indiana section of American Society of Mechanical Engineers. I'm a volunteer leader. The other members of our board, all of whom are here today, include Andrei Zielinski, who's our chair, vice chair. Maybe he'll be chair someday too. Woohoo! Michael Wymore, who's the treasurer, and John Vitranis, who is STEM, and that's the Children's Museum. And also like to thank someone who's not here today, and hopefully I don't butcher her last name too much, and Dubanen. She's our section coordinator, and she helps us get things done on a section level. As Sam alluded to, this nomination for this landmark was submitted pre-COVID, which now seems like a long time ago. It is wonderful to see it come to fruition. I'd also like to thank Karen Russo of the ASME History and Heritage for all her help, Tom Fayring for all his help with the process and kind of igniting a fire to keep us moving forward, and of course Joseph Radisek and Nicole Dias, who are here to formally present the plaque in not too long here, but after we've had some food and Sam has got a chance to talk. I'd like to thank the museum for hosting the landmark. Indiana was and is deeply involved in aerospace and automotive industries, and we are here to honor Fred Duesenberg's innovation as the second ASME History and Heritage in central Indiana. I would also note that it is also the most accessible of the two. The other landmark, last time I saw it, is in a IPL power plant south of, were you with us that day? South of downtown Indy. Required like special dispensation to get in there, I think. But it was there in the corner of the building. And so this is our second, and it's something anybody who wants to can come and see. To dot the I's and cross the T's. The opinions expressed in these presentations and later in the ceremony are solely those of the presenters and not necessarily those of ASME. ASME does not guarantee the accuracy or the reliability of the information provided. Okay, congratulations to Brandon Anderson. He's the CEO of the museum, keeps it together and running, for being part of Fort Wayne's 40 Under 40. But that's why he's not here today, because the ceremony is happening. And then, so thanks to Sam, the curator of the museum, who will be speaking for the museum. And after Sam has presented additional information, we'll head out to the plaque and unveil it, and it will formally be here.
So next thing we're going to do is we're going to play a short video by Auburn Mayor Dave Clark, who is unfortunately unable to be here today, but he pre-recorded a video here for us, and Madison's going to hit play here in just a second.
Welcome to the Auburn Court Duesenberg Museum right here in Auburn, Indiana. I wish I could be there with you all today. As many of you know, Auburn's automotive heritage began in 1874 with the opening of the Eckhart Carriage Company. Many years later, in 1921, Frederick Duesenberg's invention of the four-wheel hydraulic braking system put Auburn on the map. This invention was a game changer for the automobile industry nationwide. Today is an exciting day for the museum, the city, and all those involved as they receive this designation of being a historic mechanical engineering landmark. I would like to congratulate the museum, all those involved for their hard work and this dedication, and thank you for visiting the beautiful city of Auburn.
All right, and that was our mayor, Dave Clark. So at the museum, we pride ourselves in our ability not only to collect and display these magnificent automobiles, but also to showcase the cars as they were designed, engineered, and built during a very experimental time in automobile history. Brothers Fred and August Duesenberg were mechanical and engineering geniuses. They started off building bicycles and racing bicycles, and then using those early forms of transportation as a means to really get into what it took to be a mechanical engineer, to design things, and not only do that, but also to be successful and win races with them. Fred Duesenberg was a little bit of a better cyclist than his brother, and he did win the Iowa State Championship back in, I think it was 1894. They then moved on, having owned a bicycle shop where they built and repaired bicycles, they then moved on to a very early and crude form of a motorcycle that was just taking a single cylinder engine and attaching it to the wheels via a chain on one of their bicycles. Unfortunately, they decided that wasn't good enough, and they really wanted to go with four wheels. So they teamed up with a Iowa automobile maker named Mason, and Mason was looking to build and use race cars and have a racing presence in the growing racing scene at that time period. So he used Fred and Augie Duesenberg with their mechanical aptitude to design engines and build race cars for the express purpose of going as fast as you can with as much power as you can. And this was back before the time where there were a lot of regulations that went in place for racing and with race car design. Having been relatively successful with that, the brothers looked to kind of go their own way and to build their own race cars and to have their own racing shop. So in 1914, that was the first year that they started their own racing company. And they designed large four-cylinder, big displacement engines that produced about 80 to 90 horsepower range, and they utilized those engines in their race cars. But not only did they provide and build these race cars and their engines for themselves, but they also sold their racing engines to other up-and-coming teams. So if you look at some of the records of the AAA races and everything from the very early years, starting in 1914, you'll see the Duesenberg name plastered almost everywhere. They're very involved. But the Duesenberg brothers, they were always looking to go faster. They were always looking for the next biggest, more powerful thing that they could possibly do. One of their greatest successes was utilizing hydraulic brakes to win the 1921 French Grand Prix. This was another thing that they had come up with as a means to try to edge out the competition as best as they could. By utilizing hydraulic brakes, they were able to have the race cars go faster into the corners because they needed less time to slow down, and then they can get out of the corners and start accelerating quicker than some of their competition could. At least that's what they thought. So they entered 4 Duesenberg race cars into the 1921 French Grand Prix. And therefore, with utilizing their 4-wheel hydraulic brakes, they won the race by just a little over 15 minutes from second place. And they were the only American team ever to win that race, having gone on for over a decade at that point.
The ASME Landmark Program reminds us of where we have been and where we are going along the divergent paths of innovation and discovery. It gives me great pleasure now to introduce ASME Governor Nicole Kaufman-Dace, who will say a few words before presenting the landmark plaque to the Auburn or Duesenberg Automotive Museum.
Thank you, Joe. And thank you to everyone who is here with us today. It is my pleasure to be with you today and on behalf of ASME President Susan Ivry Brown and CEO Executive Director Tom Costabile and the ASME History and Heritage Committee to welcome the Duesenberg 4-wheel hydraulic braking system into the ASME Landmark family. Thank you for joining us on this special occasion. It was great to get to know several of you throughout the tour. ASME's mission is to advance engineering for the benefit of all humanity. The Society helps the global engineering community to develop solutions to real-world challenges, including the safe operation of technologies through our codes and standards, including clean energy, water, public safety, biomechanical engineering, and healthcare, just to name a few. Since its founding in 1880, ASME has convened engineers and other technical professionals and leaders of all kinds to tackle society's most pressing needs. The innovation of Frederick S. Duesenberg is a clear example of the application of engineering to make the world a safer place. Duesenberg was the first to use a 4-wheel hydraulic braking system on a production automobile. He also invented and employed internal expanding shoe hydraulic brakes on his vehicles. These braking innovations were first featured on the Duesenberg Model A, introduced in 1921. The technology was soon adopted by other automobile manufacturers. Personally, I was really happy when I got the call asking me to join all of you today. My grandfathers were both gearheads. They happened to work for General Motors just outside of Buffalo, New York, and both worked heavily on maintaining their vehicles at home. And one of my earliest informative memories is actually helping my grandfather, probably aged 3, 4, 5, somewhere in that range, pressing as hard as I could on the brake pedals to help him bleed the brake lines. So this particular innovation has a lot of personal meaning to me. So let's get to the unveiling. Sam, Joe, Mark, if you'll please get ready to unveil the plaque, and I'll go ahead and read the inscription. It reads, Historical Mechanical Engineering Landmark, Duesenberg Four-Wheel Hydraulic Braking System, 1921. Frederick S. Duesenberg's 1921 Model A was the first production automobile to use four-wheel hydraulic brakes. Duesenberg Automobile and Motors Company of Indianapolis was also the first to invent and employ internal expanding chute hydraulic brakes. Equipping all four wheels with hydraulic brakes significantly reduced braking distances, which became increasingly important as vehicle speeds increased. All automobile companies eventually adopted four-wheel hydraulic brakes due to the safety they provided, although some more than a decade after Duesenberg's pioneering work. Gentlemen, please unveil the plaque.
I'll be back.